Dr. Shader, also known as Abdul Wahid, joins me now. Well, welcome to you. Thank you for coming in today. You've come from your work as an NHS GP.
Yeah.
Let me first just ask you your reaction to the clip we just played. These are members of your organisation and they're allowed chants of jihad on the streets of London. Do you think that's acceptable?
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. That demonstration was a very carefully planned demonstration where the placards, the banners, the speeches from the platform were calling for a military intervention of official armies of Muslim countries to rescue the people of Gaza, with a situation of a civilian population of 2 million who are being massacred and slaughtered. Anywhere else in the world, you would find it a completely straightforward thing for people calling for military intervention.
But they weren't chanting, we want military intervention. They were chanting jihad. So my question for you is simply, do you support the chanting of jihad?
The chanting of jihad by somebody there, unscripted.
Well, quite a few people there.
Actually, no. It's about 2 people.
So you would condemn that?
Of course, I wouldn't condemn that.
You wouldn't?
No, because jihad in that context is as they understood it, and they were chanting, is for the official armies of Muslim countries to enter and intervene. We're in a situation now, Piers, where 1% of the population of Gaza has been killed in the space of 2 months. 1% of the children of Gaza have been killed. Anywhere else in the world, you yourself called for military intervention in Ukraine by NATO with probably less legal and moral cause than there is in Gaza. When we stand...
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Because
So you think that when Vladimir Putin illegally invaded Ukraine, the moral right of Ukrainians to respond is somehow equivalent to the moral right of people in Palestine after October the 7th to do the same? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that the people of Ukraine have actually one of the most powerful armies in the region.
It doesn't change the fact they were illegally invaded, does it, Doctor?
The people of Gaza have nobody helping them.
Well, they do. They have Hamas. They have a terror.
They have nobody helping them.
Hang on. They have a terrorist organisation called Hamas.
They have nobody helping them.
They've got 30,000 terrorists who committed on October the 7th an act of unspeakable terrorism.
They have lined up against them the murderous Israeli Defence Force. They have lined up against them the United States, who this week, today in the Washington Post, it was said that the white phosphorus that's being used by the IDF is supplied by them. They have lined up against them the Britain and the EU. They have lined up against them the Arab rulers in the region who carry on their trade cooperation.
Listen, as I've made clear, Doctor, I think a lot of the response from Israel, particularly right now, I would deem to be testing everyone's sense of what is proportionate. Right? There's no question. I do not subscribe to the view it's genocide. Well,
that is the understatement of the century.
Possibly, but I think they have a right to defend themselves against a terror group who have gone on record in the last 2 weeks as saying they want to do what happened on October the 7th again and again.
Children of Gaza.
I understand. It's horrific. It's horrific.
It's beyond horrific.
Well, it's horrific,
because
right?
Literally what we are watching on our phones, on our laptops, on our TVs, is an extension of what's been happening since 1948.
But let me play you your reaction. All right, I understand. Let me play you, after October the 7th, a few days later, you took part in a talk on YouTube and you said this.
Brave Mujahideen, they gave the enemy a punch on the nose. All right? And it's a very welcome punch on the nose.
How can you categorise a terror attack in which 1,200 mostly innocent civilian people were brutally attacked, raped, tortured, beheaded and murdered? How can you, a British NHS doctor or NHS doctor in Britain, how can you say that's a welcome punch on the nose?
Will you let me answer fully?
Yes.
I will be frank. I'll be as concise as I can be. But if you give me the courtesy of letting me answer fully.
Okay.
I will defend the right of the Palestinians to resist an occupation. When you look at that...
That's not resistance, that's terrorism.
When you look at what happened on the 7th of October, as if that is the day that everything started...
I didn't say that.
You didn't say that, but when people look at that...
Do you think what happened that day was a terrorist attack?
When people look...
Well, do you?
You know, the word terrorism has become so politicized.
Actually, not really.
No,
The slaughter doesn't-
the word
you can
terrorism,
be deeply sympathetic
the
to the
word-
plight of Palestinian civilians, which I am, by the way, and have expressed many times.
the word
what you
terrorism-
can't do is be weaselly-mouthed about what happened
No,
on
no,
October
no.
the 7th.
I asked you to let
That
me
was
finish.
a grotesque
I will
terror
ask you
attack.
to finish.
Yeah, but
Let me
you're
finish.
equivocating about it being a terror attack.
I'm not equivocating, and I will explain why. Okay, the word terrorism, by the way, in India last month.
We're going to talk about India. Talk about what's
The
happened
word
here.
terrorism in India. People who supported the Australian cricket team have been arrested under terrorist offences. In the West Bank, people who are have been told, if you reveal what happened in the prisons, you will be arrested on terrorist
Do you
charges.
think what happened on October the 7th
No,
was a terror
because
attack?
it's a
Did you say
resistance.
no?
It's a resistance.
Not a terror attack.
Piers, if, and it's
You're
if.
NHS GP.
If, I'm asking you to let me finish. If, right, our Islamic standard in conflict, in warfare, our Prophet, peace be upon him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, you can't kill children, you can't kill women, you can't kill the elderly, you can't mutilate.
Hamas did all that.
If anybody did that,
If, what do you mean if?
I say if because...
They literally broadcast it on their own streaming platforms.
And well, I'll tell you what a lot of us saw.
Hamas broadcast it merrily to the world.
And what-
here's us doing these terrible things.
And what
do you mean if?
What many of us saw on that day were videos coming out showing people saying, we will not harm women, we will not harm children.
Do me a favour.
No, that's what...
Doctor.
I'm saying that. Resistance is a right in Islam. It's a right in international law. It's even a right that Churchill said in his History of the English-Speaking Peoples, that is, he actually wrote in that book, it is a primary right of men to kill and die for the land they live in.
You literally read me a description of what people who follow Islam are not supposed to do.
Yeah.
And Hamas did all of those things. But your response is to say, well, hang on, I've seen videos of them saying, we don't want to do that stuff.
No, yes.
I find that pretty offensive, Doctor.
We
all know they did it because they boasted to the world with their own videos what they were doing.
I find it amazing that respected journalists like yourself have seemed to have suspended their critical faculties.
No, I'm believing what Hamas wanted me to see.
Well, you're believing what you saw.
What Hamas themselves broadcast to the world because they wanted to take great glee in what they've done. There's no ambiguity about it.
I asked you to let me finish, and I'm going to...
You've got to answer questions.
I will answer the question. Let's agree on a principle. If atrocities were committed, right, I will never condone them, right? I will say that.
So do you condemn what happened on October the 7th?
If atrocities are committed, you know who's
responsible? What do you mean if? They were.
Who's responsible for it then?
So you don't condemn it?
Okay. Who is responsible?
Well, the Jews brought it on themselves.
No, actually, I would say more than that. I would say the powers that believe that Israel should be a colony for themselves in the Middle East, they are the ones responsible.
Do you know what? I'm really struggling. I've got to be honest with you. I'm really struggling. A British National Health Service doctor of 25 years, a man who's supposed to be seeing patients all day, every day and putting them right, is incapable of saying what happened when it was literally broadcast to the world by a terror group.